What's up, sons? It's Blind Ride with Son of a Tech once again, and today I'm going to show you guys the new setup. I've been working on this for a while, and we set up basically a LAN at home for me, the kids, and the girlfriend, and we're going to go over and take you on a tour of it. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so this is going to be the room tour, and this has been set up here over the past few weeks, and I finally have it, for the most part, completed. There's a few little pieces that need to be taken care of, but in the center of the room is going to be the test bench. That does have some HDMI cables running over to the main rig to go ahead and capture the test bench for live streaming and recording for content on the channel. And then of course there is the whole caddy up there in cage for all of the B-roll, etc. If we head on over though, I picked up 2 of these desks off of Amazon. They're pretty cheap, but they work pretty well. And basically this is for the LAN PC setup. So essentially what we got here is on the end will be my son's computer, which is actually going to be the one at the bottom there. And it is running an Intel Arc B580 GPU with an 11900K in it. And that case is actually the smallest case you can get that fits full size ATX motherboards. And so that's why I have that case. And over here, we do have some benchmarks I thought would be fun to run. This is Steel Nomad on 3D Mark, and it scored a 3047. And on Speedway 3D Mark, it scored a 2472. The second rig here is going to be the one my daughter is playing on. And I actually did have a custom loop in here at one point, but unfortunately, it had some issues, and I just pulled it out right before QuakeCon this year and threw in the AIO from Thermaltake, and that is cooling a 5800X non-X3D model. And then we have that RTX 4060 in this particular rig. It's been really solid, obviously just leftover mining PSUs powering all these things. And you can see here on Speedway, we ended up with the 3273 with this configuration and a 2949 on the Steel Nomad. So quite a bit better than the B580. And yeah, this is a 4060 Ti actually. So there you go. I would like to point out that we're running my favorite monitor over here for LAN gaming. I've had this one for a long time. It's an Acer monitor, and it is 165 Hertz 1080p with sub 1 millisecond response time. It's great for competitive games. This one is a new one I bought for this setup because we were out of monitors, and it's a View Edge. And the reason I got it is because it was $84. The picture seems pretty good. It goes up to 180 Hertz, and I'll let you guys know how it is later on. If you're interested, you can check it out. I found these really cool cup holder slash controller and headphone hangers, and they work very, very well. I used those at QuakeCon as well. They're a few bucks over on Amazon, just a quick little tip. And then my to-go mic, that's just an Elgato. The curtain is being replaced with some solid black soundproof curtains to help deaden the audio in here. And then we got our stitched up heart signed guitar and my YouTube plaque and my jiu-jitsu medals back there. Over here is the fun part, I guess. And this is my rack. It's a 20U rack that I got off of Amazon. And the bottom there is a rack station Synology, the RS3617XS Plus. And then we have another Synology here. This is the Mini, the DS620 Slim. And then next to it's a KSO Ultra, so mining kaspa, solo mining it. And then back here, I mean, we can pop these little feet up and roll it out, which is nice. And then it just kind of pulls out here. I haven't done this one-handed before, but we'll see how it goes. so we can get back to the good stuff. Get this out of the way. And if we get over here, all right, the back of the rack, we have a Dream Machine Pro from Ubiquiti running the whole network, and then some cable management arms there. That does run into an unmanaged switch. It's hooked up with 10 gig fiber to the Dream Machine Pro, and then these are 2.5 gig slots. These are for all the gaming rigs. And then I do have another switch coming in to replace this Netgear, because I actually bricked this Netgear by flashing a V3 firmware onto it when it's a V2. I might work on recovering it and doing a how-to video on recovering it later on. We are on 120, so I do have a 120 PDU down here. It has these nice little power switches and some more cable management. So that pretty much wraps that up. Let me go ahead and get out of here real quick. I'll show you guys. In theory, I got to work on a little bit of the cabling here, but this just rolls right back in. Sometimes I have to remove the cables back a little bit, and then I just lock it down. All right, so that part is fun. Go ahead and get this back out of the way. So over here is the girlfriend setup. She has the biggest gaming monitor, a 27-inch Acer 1440p, I believe 180 hertz again, and it's an IPS panel, but it does have sub-millisecond response time, and a little bit bigger and a higher resolution for her. We found this lipstick keyboard, which both her and my daughter love. It's pretty cool looking. It does have mechanical blue switches, so it is pretty loud. I can link it down below for you guys. Mouse mat, pads not in yet for it. Cool feature of these desks is you do have your charging stations here with 2 USB ports and 3 120 plugs there. And then I just have the battery chargers for the controllers there. And then we kind of get to the fun part. So I had these Lee & Lee cases that I bought on sale a long time ago now. They've just been sitting there waiting, and I finally got them going. What's cool about them is obviously it's a his and her setup. So in her rig, we're running the RTX 4080 with an i9 12900K processor and 32 gigabytes of memory. And you'll see a huge jump in score over the kids' rigs with Steel Nomad at 6,575 and Speedway at 7,325. I have my battery charging station there. And down here's my gaming rig. It's the Lee & Lee Micro ATX rig as well, in black instead of white. It's running the RTX 5080 with a Ryzen 7 9800 X3D. Haven't gotten to play around with it a lot, but I am on the Alienware 360 hertz monitor, and it is sub-millisecond, an extremely fast competitive monitor, which is why I'm running it. As you can see, the Steel Nomad score was 8,325, and the Speedway score was 9,086. I did wall mount a face cam for the live streaming of the video games. This is a Sony A6000, just the stock lens that comes on it. I might replace that with another Sigma 16 millimeter lens that you'll see over here on the A6400. Finally, the Beast rig, and this is the stream rig, workstation rig, and of course my 4K pretty game rig, and it is in a B Silent 802, Silent Base 802, windowless, because I want it to be quiet as possible. And yes, that's the Logitech speakers that you can get from Best Buy. Those are some of the best sounding speakers I've ever had, so they're down there. And this rig is running the RTX 4090 with a 7950X for content creation. It does have 64 gigs of RAM, clocked at 6,000 megahertz, and it does have NVMe Gen 5, 2 of them in RAID 0, 2 terabyte drives, and then we have an archive drive of 4 spinning disks up to 8 terabytes in RAID 0. Everything's being backed up on the Synologies, so I don't need to run any redundancy on the primary rigs. The Speedway got 9,594 on this one, and the Steel Nomad got 8,674. So really, if you wanted to compare these two rigs, which was the point, so a non-gaming CPU with a 4090, like the best card, 9,549 on Speedway. We're only beating it by 500 points, the 5080 with the 9800 X3D. And then on Steel Nomad, that was 8,325 on the 5080 with the 9800 X3D. And if we go over here, it's beating it by about 300 points at the 8,674. So just kind of a cool note. This is the LG OLED C3. So not the latest gen, but the last gen. And I got this because my super ultra wide monitor died and it was under warranty, and I decided to go this route because it's easier to have 16:9 for content creation. Over here is just the secondary monitor. That's a Samsung 4K. Had really good color reproduction when I first got it, which is why I got it. It's only a 60 hertz 4K monitor. It does have FreeSync capability though. And then here's the primary streaming camera. That is a Sony a6400 with a Sigma 16mm lens, and it is mounted to the wall. One thing I learned a long time ago, if you watch some of my old videos, mounting cameras to the desk, especially with how active I am, is a terrible idea. The camera starts bouncing all over the place. I do run a Go XLR Mini for the audio through a Shure SM7B, and along with that, of course, it sounds really, really good. I did get gold-plated cables, just a tip there, to help with the audio quality. Down here we got a Stream Deck, and then we also have our cloner. This is to clone USB drives for mining rigs. It's the Dupli M. And then I do have just a USB-C extender over here just to hook up my USB-C devices for that high-speed data transfer, which is definitely awesome. Also down here, if you guys are looking for a good Xbox controller, there's the Scuff. That thing is sick. If you like to use controllers. I did recently swap out to Razer. Previously, I was really on the Glorious train, but I've been using Razer for their snap tap on the keyboard. Some games it's illegal in, so there's that. So now with my competitive, I have gone back to just Glorious. That's the -O mouse, by the way. So there you go. So I do have cables run under this black mat, and it comes over to the test bench area. This is where I can do all of my recording and live streaming. And this runs to a capture card because I do have essentially 3 capture cards in the primary rig, and that is a 4K 60 Pro. We have the CamLink Pro with 4 inputs, and then I also have a 4KX, which is portable in case I want to take it on the road. All 3 of them are hooked up. Obviously, we have one hooked up for the gaming rig, one hooked up for the test bench, so we can kind of flip-flop between all of those. This is a Praxis wet bench, and on here right now is a 14700K, because this is the only way to keep a 14700K cool, is with a massive water block, and that is actually running through a 240 by 40, or 280 by, yeah, 240 by 40mm radiator over here, as you can see. So that's pretty neat. and it is running on a D5 pump, which does need to be filled up because I did do a lot of swapping because our main rig we changed a lot of builds on. And I've talked about this before, but this is just an external GPU cage. And the reason we run that is because I can run that to a completely separate power for the kilowatt to get accurate power readings when testing GPUs, which is the way I do it since I've never been able to get a PCAT from anybody. So there's that. There's only 16 gigs of RAM in this particular rig. That's all you need. We're testing mining stuff primarily. And then this is the wall of tools and equipment. So lots of stuff here. We got the mod mat from Gamers Nexus. You guys have probably seen that before. The wall of, or the shelf of GPUs. I think there's a 4080 Super in there that we're gonna get to testing soon. A few other cool ones. And then just some storage. My favorite case of all time, the half XB Evo. There is 3 of them. There is an actual one in the bottom one there, but we got to work on that. And then just the shelf of parts. I did swap out, that was my old case, so that's gone now. And I need to clean this up and get it going. I guess the gimbal really didn't like some of the movements we did. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Oh. I don't know, we'll figure out a better one there. I have a lot of other stuff that we could talk about. My back's starting to get to me though. If you guys have any questions about content creation, things that help there, I'm definitely down to help you guys out. As far as figuring that out, this rig we are running on the Ronin, and then we have the FX30 for the camera. It is running the 50mm Sony lens. And then we are piped in with the Rode mics, lav mics, wireless lav mics, and then of course run up through the shirt. So that's kind of as far as that goes. And I do have a teleprompter where that's the MacBook's over there, and then I use an old iPad that you can pick up for like under $100 on Facebook Marketplace to go into the teleprompter, so that's something else we do. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. Hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bells down below. And this was all set up so I can start doing more content, so I'm gonna get to it and start making more content. I'll see you next Tuesday.